I'm shooting here on the Sony RX 100 Model 7 and going for a walk. And I thought I'd talk about changing phones because we're in the process of trying to decide what phones we should get. Now, of course, the question people always ask is, you need a new phone? And if you need a new phone, then fine, get a new phone. Well, the question is, when do you know if you need a new phone? If the old phone is working, then do you need a new phone? So how do you determine if you need a new phone? Whether you're using an Apple system or the Android system, the answer is simple, is does the manufacturer, Apple or Google or whoever the heck is providing your phone, are they providing regular updates to the operating system, to your Android system 15 or whatever, your iOS system, whatever? Are they providing regular updates to it? And are those updates providing security updates? And if those updates are providing security updates, then your phone is being updated and you should feel safe about what you're doing. However, if you're uh, not being updated, then I would say you probably need to have an update to a phone. And if you need to have an update to a phone, then what kind of update are you going to have to your phone? And then you have to decide, well, am I going to just, you go the default mode and get another Sony or get another Android or get another this or get another that? Or am I going to exercise some freedom of choice and will and decide to get another phone of a different type? The question then is, okay, so you're going to get a new phone, you need a new phone. If you don't care too much about needs, well, then you can say, oh, do I need a new phone? You want need? No, I don't care about need. You want. All right. So if you want a new phone, then the whole door opens up as to what do you want to do with your new phone? Yeah, the question is, what do you want it for? What are you going to do with it? So are you a photographer? Do you primarily take movies? What's your primary interest in doing this exercise? If you're primarily interested in taking photographs with your phone, then that's going to point you in one direction. If you're primarily interested in movies, videos, shorts, longs, talls, wides, then you're going to be looking possibly for a different camera. A lot of people will generally say, I don't know if it's true because I have no direct experience in this, a lot of people generally will typically say that the iPhones are better for movies and the Pixels are better for pictures. But as soon as you say that, people say, no, you're full of shit. The other one's better the other way around. So fine. You're never going to win that argument with anybody because everybody has an opinion. And those opinions are going to be, whatever they want. See, I'm going to put this down in a minute and set it up a little differently. And I'll check my settings and see what's going on. So I'm sitting outside in the park near the house. The question I want to talk about this morning is around switching mobile phones. Do you need a phone? If you need to update your phone, why do you think you need to update your phone? So the first question around that is, do you need to or do you want to? The answer to that question to me is quite simple. If your phone is no longer receiving the security updates that the manufacturer says it should be doing, so Apple says they'll give you 7 years of updates for your phone if you buy a new one today. And if you bought an old iPhone, whatever, 5, 6, or 7, I mean, probably it's no longer getting updates. But if you have something newer, it might be. You can, always go check online and see if your phone is getting updates. There are OS updates, which is one thing, and then there's security updates, which is another. And whether you have an iPhone or an Android device, those two things are the two things you want to make sure that they're working, that they're being updated, and that you are updating your phone. If you have Android, I think the security updates are separate from the OS updates, but I'm not sure. If you're ready to sell your phone or update your phone, the next question is, do you want to buy a phone outright or do you want to buy a plan? Well, that's up to you. At the end of the day, it's going to cost you probably a little more if you do it on a plan, because they're going to get you to pay for it in the first 2 years, at least in Canada, of your plan, and then the rest of the time you keep your phone, or you buy the phone outright and you keep it longer. Again, you keep it longer based on security updates. The second question is, do you think the new cameras are better? So the cameras, if you look at the tech specs on a lot of the cameras, whether it's Mac or Android, a lot of the camera systems are exactly the same from one camera to the other. From one update to the other, it's the same camera. The rest of it is being controlled by um, AI and processing. The Android phones, the Google Pixel phones, are the new ones, are all going to be stamped with processed by AI on them, so that people will know that AI was involved in creating this picture, even if all it's doing is doing a bit of sharpening and sharpening up the text and cleaning up the background and doing some defuzzing and stuff like that. They're going to call that AI. So that's nice. That means you can't use that photograph for any kind of professional work because it's going to be considered AI, because they've built into it a special code right in the exposure information, the EXIF file of the image, which will say, hey, this has been used um, with AI. So that's not necessarily what you want. The other thing you want to keep in mind is the actual phone going to handle the size of the new operating system? That's not what I mean. Is it going to handle all of your software that you've typically been using? So if you buy a new phone and it doesn't have the same size storage as the old phone, then are you going to have enough space? So you want to keep that in mind. So let's assume that your phone is expired in the sense of security updates. So you need to get some new security updates. Great, that's good. So go do that. Go buy a new phone. Uh, if you want a new phone and you don't need a new phone, then some of your friends will say, well, why'd you get a new phone? Do you need a new phone? Why'd you buy a new phone? Why didn't you do something better with all that 800, 900, $1,500, whatever it is you're going to spend on your new phone? So you might want to have a point of discussion along there that you can explain to people why you felt it was necessary for you to buy a new phone. And you can't just say because the cameras are better, because half the time they're not. 3/4 of the time they're not. 3/4 of the time it's the same damn camera in the new phone, whether it's an Apple or a Pixel or a Samsung or whatever. Samsung, I understand, has exactly the same cameras in all the S24, 25. I think as far back as the 22 series, it's the same cameras. The difference is the processing that they have built into them. So that's interesting. I don't know if it's true or not, but it's something to think about. You don't want to sound like an idiot if you're talking about things that you don't know about. Um, well, I mean, you could sound like an idiot anyway, just because you don't know what you're talking about. I mean, you just might be an idiot, or who knows. Um, so if you're updating your phone to a new phone for whatever reason, let's get past the why. Let's just say, okay, you're going to do it. Um, there are things that you want to keep an eye on. Um, one of them is as I mentioned earlier, the processing of the pictures. Is it doing a lot of post-processing in the camera? Let's assume that you're not a professional photographer and you don't care about shooting in what they call a RAW, RAW, which is what Sony calls them, or DNG, which is what everybody else calls them. A brief aside to that question, RAW files or DNG files, DNG is an acronym for digital negative. So if you think back to the film days of photography, you could always take the negative out of your plastic folder and show people this is the original negative of that photograph. And in that corner, you see the garbage bag that was in the corner. And that garbage bag is in the corner now of that photograph. The reason I mentioned that photograph is that a photographer for one of the main magazines, I believe it was National Geographic, had one of his photographs removed, and his first prize was taken away because he uh, photographed a scene. It was a very beautiful scene, I'll give him that. But he digitally removed the garbage bin or plastic garbage bag that was in the foreground of the image, because that garbage bag significantly upset his sense of the aesthetic of the photograph. So what he needed to do was to uh, enhance, digitally manipulate the image to remove the offending image. And that meant that it was modified, and that meant that he wasn't allowed to show that picture, and he lost his award. Another one was the really famous photograph that in New York, it was a National Geographic photographer, I don't remember his name. He did a photograph of I don't know, a woman, Indian, or I don't know what she was. Um, he gave her blue eyes, and she wasn't born with blue eyes. She had brown eyes, and he changed the eye color. And they found this out when they went and looked at the original DNG file, because as soon as you modify a DNG file, um, well, first of all, you can't change a DNG file. The DNG file is uneditable. The RAW file is uneditable. You always have to save it to a JPEG or another format. So when they go back and look at the DNG format of that picture, you can always see, well, there she had brown eyes, or there was no garbage, there was a garbage pail, and then the garbage pail was removed. So that's an aside to say, do you care about that stuff? If you don't care about that stuff, then don't worry about it. It's not a problem for you. Somebody just walked behind me. Wonder if she's going to be in the picture. My screen just went really dark. I don't know why. Hopefully the screen is still recording. I'm going to keep on going, assuming it's still recording. The sun just went down. Yeah, it just went down. See how dark it is? It's probably not dark. Okay, I'm going to stop it for a minute and start it again. If I was any good at this, I'd know what I was doing. But, clearly I don't know what I'm doing, because maybe I'm no longer focused, and I can't really tell because the screen went dark. And I don't know why the screen went dark. Anyway, I'm doing this filming. Yeah, there's no film. Doing this recording on the Sony RX 100 Model 7. And the screen just went really, really dark, and I don't know why. I can't even see if it's recording or not. Let me see. Is it recording? Yeah, it's recording. It's really dark. All right, so if you don't care about the raw digital photography stuff, then fine. So you're going to buy a camera. Are you primarily a photographer? Are you primarily a video shooter? Are you primarily a person who uses your phone for TikTok and Netflix and Facebook and your social media activity, your socials, as they, I think, still call it, or do you primarily use it as a phone? Is it your primary function for this device as a phone? What a concept! I have a phone, which also happens to be a camera. See, I have cameras, and I also have a phone. I don't know what I do. Primarily my photography is that which I do with my iPhone 12 mini. So Sheila and I are in the throes of trying to decide whether or not we're going to switch phones. Am I going to switch out of the iPhone world into the Pixel world? There's no discussion about Sheila switching out of the Pixel world into the Apple world. She seems to have very firm opinions about the Apple world, and doesn't want anything to do with it. I can't see if it's recording. All right, it was recording. Now I don't see myself, but I don't think I need to see. Well, I do need to see myself. It makes a sound when it turns on, and it makes a different sound when it turns off in recording. So now it's recording again. and it says I have 15 minutes of time left to record. I don't know if that's battery time to record or space on the SD card. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what I'm doing. So you have to decide if you want to, which primary purpose of the camera is. The phone. See? Do you call it a camera or do you call it a phone? Everybody calls them a phone. Some people call them a mobile device, but they're probably the nerdier people in your group of people you hang around with. So is it a phone or a camera? If it's a phone, use it as a phone. Get a camera. If it's a camera, primarily a camera for you, then get a camera. I mean, there's no difference between a real camera and a phone for taking pictures or video. I mean, there's just no comparison. If you're talking about a real camera, like this Sony, it's pocketable when it's turned off. It's a device you have to carry around with you. It doesn't do any fancy dancy